Iowa's 1956 football season will go down as one of the most memorable seasons ever. The 1956 team brought the Hawkeye fans home a Rose Bowl championship. This was the first Rose Bowl championship in school history. They also won the Big Ten championship for the first time in 35 years. The Hawkeyes finished the season 9-1. The team averaged 22 points per game, which ranked 25th overall out of 111 teams, while their defense only allowed 8.4 points a game, which ranked 14th overall out of 111 teams. The team was carried by Ken Pula. He led the team in passing yards and passing touchdowns, with 386 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. Ken also led the team in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, with 487 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. You could say Ken was a very versatile player. Not many QBs could pass and run the ball like him, especially leading in both categories. Another key player was wide receiver Jim Gibbons. He led the team with 255 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. He led in those categories by a large margin. The next closest receiving yardage on the team was only 94 yards, and the next closest receiving touchdown on the team was only 1. The team was a run-heavy team, as they had 4 players with 3 or more rushing touchdowns. Those players were Ken Pullen, who had 6 rushing touchdowns, Bill Happel, who had 4 rushing touchdowns, Fred Harris, who had 3 rushing touchdowns, and Collins Hagler, who had 4 rushing touchdowns. The Iowa Hawkeyes went into the season as underdogs, as they weren't ranked on the AP poll. But that quickly changed in the first game of the season, as the Hawkeyes demolished Indiana 27-0. After this dominant victory, the Hawkeyes climbed up to the number 20 spot on the AP poll. The next game, the Hawkeyes played Oregon State. Iowa headed into the fourth quarter scoreless and down 13. However, the Hawkeyes struck like lightning, scoring twice in the fourth quarter to make an unlikely comeback over Oregon State. The heroes of the game were Gibbons, who caught the game-tying touchdown, and Prescott, who made the extra point to go up by 1. The people still felt like the Hawkeyes had more to prove, as they headed into the next game going up to Wisconsin, where they would truly be tested. Well, the Hawkeyes made the non-believers sit in silence after they beat Wisconsin 13-7 and climbed up all the way to the number 12 spot on the AP poll. The Hawkeyes weren't done there, as they rolled over Hawaii in a shutout victory 34-0. Sadly, their next game wasn't that easy, as they played Purdue. But thanks to a late missed field goal and fumble in the fourth quarter, the Hawkeyes seeked the opportunity and took full advantage of it and grinded out a 21-20 victory. After that miracle of a game, the Hawkeyes climbed up the AP poll even more, all the way up to number 7. However, good luck comes to an end at some point, as they lost their first game of the season against Michigan. The score was 17-14. And what was so sad about this loss is that Iowa headed into halftime up 14-0. And I guess their offense wasn't clicking and their defense wasn't communicating right, and they blew their halftime lead. And now this depressing loss made the Iowa Hawkeyes drop all the way up to the 15th spot on the AP poll. This loss, though, ignited a fire within the whole team as they shut out number 6 Minnesota 7-0, and in their next game, number 6 Ohio State 6-0. Iowa now has proved what their team can do as they climbed up all the way to the number 3 spot on the AP poll. You know that after the Hawkeyes got the win over Ohio State, there was no stopping them as they stomped over Notre Dame in the next game 48-8. It wasn't even a competition. This win earned them a trip to the Rose Bowl. The Hawkeyes now had a chance to do what no other Iowa football team has done, which is win a Rose Bowl championship. The team that they would play was an opponent earlier in the season, Oregon State. The Hawkeyes knew that the first game against Oregon State was way too close to go, and they wanted to make sure the outcome was completely different this time. And that's exactly what happened, as the Hawkeyes trampled over Oregon State 35-19. This historic season was led behind Ken Pullen as he finished 9th in Heisman voting and won Big Ten Player of the Year. Now that is a lot to say. After this season, the Hawks received the Robert C. Zubik Award for the best team with the hardest schedule. And that really means a lot for the organization as a whole because it's not like the Big Ten championship was handed to them. They grinded out through the whole season through some hard teams and fought their way there and won the championship. And this was truly an iconic moment for the university and fans as the Hawkeyes brought home their first ever Rose Bowl championship. This glorious moment was able to bring the community together as they celebrated this triumphant season. This team, nor year of Iowa Hawkeye football, will ever be forgotten.